Hi, welcome to Roll to Confirm. We talk about 3.5, Pathfinder, and 5e. I'm one of your hosts, Shay.
I'm Guy.
And I'm Zach.
Today we're going to be talking about the simplicity between Pathfinder and 5e. What are you guys' thoughts?
I prefer Pathfinder because it's better.
Same here.
I don't really have a preference between the two. I think they both have their merits. I like 5e. I like to DM 5e, rather, and I like to play Pathfinder.
I'm kind of reverse on that one. I'd rather DM Pathfinder because of all the weird nooks and like pluses and bonuses that you get compared to 5e. I mean, I'd rather play 5e, just not really DM it. Not that kind of...
I never played 5e.
Well, you're perfectly capable of adding in those little bonuses and stuff if you want. Because the way 5e is made, there's not that many rules. There's plenty of room open for house ruling. Like, if you don't think they quite deserve advantage because it's so big, you can just give them a +2.
That's true.
Nothing says you can't just be like, all right, there's a +2 to your attack.
Oh, I know some simplicities to it, like when you're actually getting into combat from a monster here and a player here, and when the player actually attacks. In Pathfinder, you get a +2 because you're charging for one round. You get a -2 to your AC. In 5e, it's just, here I am, I'm now here, no bonuses, no minus, boom, attack begins. Or in Pathfinder, if you don't charge, that's an attack of opportunity. There is nothing in 5e containing that. It just simplifies the whole process.
Yeah, I did notice there wasn't a charge like that where you get a bonus, which it makes sense to me. If you're running at them, you're going to get a bonus, at least your damage or something. Since the book didn't have anything, I thought of a house rule that I liked where when you charge them, you get advantage for your attack because there's a good chance you're going to hit them. You probably catch them by surprise.
So that means rogues get a sneak attack?
And then
when they charge?
Yeah, because anytime they get advantage. And then as a drawback, instead of the -2 AC normally in Pathfinder, they get advantage on you on your next round. Or just enemies have it on you because you're kind of stumbling, recovering. Just like that, -2 AC, it's still a penalty, so...
It feels like 5e is very DM discretion, where you get to make the calls more than Pathfinder, where it has every little crack that lets you know, hey, you can do this, you can do this option, this option, this option, where 5e, it's just, here you go, free roam, make the best judgment that your players are going to like.
I mean, I don't want to go study every single tiny rule of Pathfinder. It's like, oh, are you charging in difficult terrain? Well, there's this rule. Normally charges this thing. Stuff like that, whereas there's like errata for every single rule. Whereas 5e, it's like, okay, there's advantage, disadvantage, and then maybe a +2, and then whatever you think is best. Like, it governs combat. Lots of rules for combat, like with the actions you can take and stuff, but, I mean, otherwise, there's not really a whole lot of rules.
Yeah.
When we played, you did look up the rules several times with 5e,
Yeah,
which I do remember I did play.
Yeah, I looked up the conditions for prone, and then I don't recall what the other one was.
I don't remember either.
I didn't have to look at that many. Like, when I first DM'd Pathfinder for the very first time, I was just constantly going through. Because
do you think that
every little thing?
Do you think that's because of your familiarity with 5e? Because you do have the books, you have studied it extensively. Whereas Pathfinder, you were kind of thrown into the mix without really much knowledge on it.
Yeah, because it's kind of like take your word for it.
Well, no, I studied 5e I studied Pathfinder a lot before I DM because I knew there's a lot of rules to understand.
Yeah,
I looked, I read about tips for DMing. I read about all the different rules. I did different scenarios. So I knew, like, charge rules, cover rules, that thing, stuff like that. And 5e, I did study that as well. I found I haven't had to study it as much because there's so few rules. Most of the rules just govern combat, like D&D should be.
Yeah, most of the rules are just in Pathfinder, and it's only maybe 10 pages at most from just simple attacks, combat, and even the weapon damage was even simplified. Like, oh, I don't need these 6 feats to use this one weapon. Just This weapon has 2 feats. There you go. Proceed as you think best.
And the armor, instead of stacking bonuses, the only pure bonus in armor is a shield, where it's a +2.
Yeah.
Whereas whenever you wear armor, it sets your base to 12 plus dex or 14 plus dex at a max of 3. Stuff like that. Like, heavy armor has no dex bonuses. Medium is a max, I think, 2.
Yeah.
And light is your full dex, but it's only like an 11 or 12 base.
Yeah.
So everybody has around 15, 16, 17 AC.
Which is nice.
Which is because there's not as much power creep. Like Pathfinder level 20, you're going to have like +30s and 40s to your attack with all your magical equipment and everything. And monsters are going to have the same thing.
Yeah, so really what's the point of AC when it's just kind of...
Yeah, because it has to
Kinda
constantly
rip it
creep up
through
to
you.
like 35, and stuff like that. Whereas 5e, you have a proficiency bonus at level 20 is, I believe, +6. And you actually don't even add that to your armor. It's your dex, the armor, and then any magical stuff you get. Usually your AC might be around 25
Yeah.
So
instead of like 40.
So it removes power creep entirely.
Well, I mean, you're leveling up. I guess it's a form of power creep, but it's not like you're not dealing with huge, ridiculous numbers by the end of the game. The end, rather.
Yeah, it's a lot to add up. Even at 6th level, you're like, all right, well, if I 2 I'm fighting this, or if I go use combat expertise on this, all right, well, I'm using standard defense on this. Here's my numbers going down.
Yeah,
oh, I've been affected by this.
Yeah, it's
This give me bonuses. Oh, but the wizard cast this on me, and that can just kind of bog gameplay down.
yeah. Like for instance, say you're a 6th level fighter, and you got enlarged person cast on you. Okay, you have your 2 attacks. You have 2 different BABs to deal with, and then you have any feats or anything for your weapons. You have more attack bonuses, more damage bonuses. You have to add your strength to each one.
Your CMB, your CMB.
And then with enlarged person, you have to keep in mind you have that extra strength, and you have a lowered attack in AC. And it's a lot of things to keep track of, and you can forget lots of
So
stuff.
what happens to the large person in 5e?
That I'm not sure 100%. I have to look it up.
Wouldn't it
I don't
be the
know all the
same?
spells. I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't know all the spells. You have to look them up.
But what I like about Pathfinder, especially with the keeping track of all your skills and whatnot, is you do feel like when you level up that you are getting more powerful.
Yeah.
Whereas with 5e, it kind of takes that away. You feel like you're the same character all the way through.
Yeah, like you get one ability, and then your hit die goes up, and that was it. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing else. There's no, like, is there something I'm not missing? Nope.
I mean, yeah, it's easier to keep track of, and has less to remember, it doesn't bog gameplay down. But with that being said, there's no real reward system for leveling up. You may as well just keep first level characters going through.
Yeah.
Well, there's leveling up stuff. It's just, in Pathfinder, you get something every other level, just like in 5e. It's just your skills are the main thing, because every level you get in Pathfinder, every level you get those skills plus your int modifier, whereas 5e simplifies the skills, so you don't have like feats modifying it and stuff. You have your proficiency bonus if you're proficient, and then your ability score, which tops out at a natural 20. Like, you can't naturally increase it past 20. Magic you can, yes, but which means the max with your proficiency bonus and your ability, the max natural skill you can have is +11.
So,
Which is why DCs top out at 30.
So really, you're not playing a heroic character then, you're just playing a normal character.
It's more realistic almost. Say if you're a fighter, you're a guy who like grabbed a sword and maybe had a little bit of training in it, and as you go, you just kind of slowly get better at it instead of every single time you level, getting incrementally better every single time.
But do people play Pathfinder or D&D in general for realism?
Well, some people might, some people might not.
That really depends on the group that you enter.
I prefer realism. Honestly, it's D&D. It's not real, but
True.
To the extent of if I stab somebody, like, if I stab him in his gut, he's going to be doubled over, he's going to be limping or something. It's not like, you stabbed him in the chest and now he's fine, because you only did 8 damage.
Yeah.
Well, I was reading in the Pathfinder book, hit points are not necessarily how healthy a character is. It also takes in mind like mental capabilities and integrity of their armor. Hit points is defined as like how well they're dodging blows, and when you take off hit points, you're not really like causing damage to their body, but really you're wearing them down until the final. I think they said like the last 10% of their HP or last 20% of their HP, it's really physical damage.
Yeah, that's what the 5e book was saying, is when you're above half your total HP, it's more like you're just getting kind of tired. You maybe have a couple bruises, but below half, you start taking wounds. Like you get a cut on your leg, you get a broken nose or something.
Yeah.
And then once you hit that 0, then you got to start making sure you don't die. Because that's another
Loss
thing
of
they
blood.
simplified, is you just have the saves, no bonuses. You just have to roll above a 10. You have to do it 3 times to get up, and if you fail 3 times, you die.
Yeah.
Whereas
Take 5
Pathfinder,
rounds is it.
you have increasing DCs to keep track of, have a fortitude save that you have to roll every time, like I said, with increasing DCs, and you have to get down to a certain negative instead of just being at 0 and being that's it.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you enjoy 5e simply because you are not used to the original system? For instance, because you started with Pathfinder.
Yes.
So when the simplicity of 5e came out, because we skipped over 4, like D&D 4. Let's not talk about it.
4 wasn't that important.
So let's not talk about D&D 4. But when 5e came out, you were exposed to now this simplistic version of it. Whereas Shay and I, we started quite early. I started in 2.0. I'm not sure where Shay started. I like the complexity of Pathfinder in 3.5, and Pathfinder did simplify things. Spot and listen became perception, for instance, which is nice. It's very nice. Less skill. You get it's only 1 skill point.
That saves so much time
per
hide
skill.
Hide to move silently. That saves a lot of time with just stealth.
I feel like Pathfinder did simplify it a little bit, and it's really nice. I just feel like 5e has too much simplicity for my liking. I am excited to play it on Thursday with you as the DM, but with that being said, there will always be a room in my heart for Pathfinder.
Yeah, I don't dislike Pathfinder. I just dislike DMing it because I find it way too complicated. And that
could be lack of experience as well.
Could also be lack of experience. Also have to remember Pathfinder is 10 plus years old. So they have developed a lot of rules, a lot of books, a lot of material to go through. 5e just came out like last year.
Yeah.
Like not even 6 months ago, I don't think. Maybe not even a year ago. So they haven't added anything else yet. And they already have, everybody's favorite classes and races and stuff. All they do now is just add stuff.
Yeah.
Since they're not in the business of, doing every little tiny rule, they focus less on balance and more on, adding new things, adding new features and such.
Yeah.
Whereas Pathfinder, with everything in it, with the base classes, core classes, hybrid, they have so much focus on balance in every little tiny rule that I feel like they just don't add as much as they could.
Yeah.
And it's only as much as there is because it's so old.
There is, there's always potential to add more stuff, but, you never know. Well, that's going to cut it out for Roll to Confirm. Catch us next week. We'll catch you guys later.
Like and subscribe.